Alright, what is going on, guys? It's me, Sergio Rules, back again. And today I have a little bit of a different video for you guys. It's the end of March right now, because of everything that's been going on in the world. By the way, hope you guys are staying safe and staying healthy. Crazy things are going on right now. I hope everyone's just doing okay. Anyway, so it is the end of March right now, and I've had a lot of time, obviously, with being quarantined. I've had a lot of time to play Pokemon, and in particular, I've been doing a lot of Sword and Shield PU. So, in order to kind of celebrate this first month of Sword and Shield PU, which started March 1st, I kind of wanted to do a showcase, kind of top 10 list of what I think are the best 10 Pokemon in the PU tier right now, and have been the best in the PU tier throughout the month. One of these Pokemon no longer really needs to be on this list. I'll talk about it. We'll go through it. These aren't in any particular order except for number 1, which I think is pretty definitively the best Pokemon in the tier, and I think you'll see why once I get to it. So, first Pokemon we're going to cover right now is Stonjourner. Now, Stonjourner is a new Pokemon from Generation 8 from Sword and Shield, and it is a pure rock type. Really interesting Pokemon. Has a really high HP, attack, and defense stat with a decent 70 base speed for a rock type that's pretty fast. But the bad part about it, the trade-off there, is with all those other high stats, it has 20 special attack, which doesn't really matter that much, but it has a 20 special defense, which means basically any special attack that you throw its way is probably going to knock it out. Even some resisted hits can do upwards of 50%. But that being said, it is still a great Pokemon because it is so defensive. It can check a lot of offensive, physically offensive Pokemon in the tier, and it does a pretty good job of actually being an offensive Pokemon on its own. So, some of the sets you might see is a 3 attack set with a Life Orb, and you're either going to see Rock Polish on that to set up, or Stealth Rock to set up Stealth Rock for more team support and to wear down the opposing team. Your 3 moves, basically you're always going to see Stone Edge. Most of the time you're going to see Heat Crash. And then your 4th move can be something like Heavy Slam is what I normally prefer to hit Clefairy. But you can use like Earthquake or Superpower. Those are all viable options. Basically, it just depends on what you want to hit. Second set that you'll see is a Choice Scarf set. Because Stonjourner actually has a decent 70 speed, it can outspeed a lot. I can't remember what exact speed it hits, but it with its decent 70 speed, it can get a huge jump on some more offensive Pokemon that would normally outspeed it. So the moves you're going to run on this one are Stone Edge and Earthquake to get that Edge Quake combo in. And then Heavy Slam and Heat Crash are pretty much the ones that I would use. You can use different, you can use Superpower over Heavy Slam if you would like to. It's all up to you, whatever you want to break through. The third set you're going to see, oh wait, I forgot. Third set you're going to see is actually the same set, but instead of a Choice Scarf, putting a Choice Band on it. Because even without the Choice Scarf, it still does hit a pretty respectable speed stat. You can just slap a Choice Band on it, and it can just break through so many things. So, the third set you're going to probably see is a Focus Sash set with just a Sash Lead Stealth Rock, Rock Blaster Stone Edge, Heat Crash probably, and then either Earthquake, or you can even run Self-Destruct if you want, just as to make it a true suicide lead. And then the last set, which isn't as common but still kind of does exist, is a specially defensive set. It works the same way that Avalugg did in Generations 6 and 7. It can by investing a lot into special defense, you can kind of trick your opponent into thinking, oh, this will be an easy KO for this Pokemon, and then you end up taking a hit on the special side, which normally Stonejourner can't do. And then it can just easily get up Stealth Rock or fire off a Stone Edge, even uninvested or without full investment. It hits a pretty decent attack because it has that 125 base. So number 9 on the list, once again, these are in no particular order, but the 9th Pokemon on the list is Clefairy. Now, Clefairy has been in PU, I think, since Gen 5. I don't remember if it was in Gen 5, actually. Don't quote me on that. But Clefairy, since Gen 6 at least, has been a really good option in PU. It's really bulky with Eviolite, and it has Magic Guard, which means it doesn't take damage from status or Stealth Rock or spikes or anything like that. It can only be damaged through actual moves. And it's a really good support Pokemon. Most of the time you're going to see it run Stealth Rock with a specially defensive set. And then actually your other 3 moves can be a lot of different things. So most of the time you're going to run Stealth Rock, and then some form of healing, whether it is Soft Boiled or Wish. It can actually pass pretty good wishes to other teammates. Then you're going to have some kind of offensive move. It can either be Moonblast, some people run like Flamethrower or Fire Blast if you want to hit Mawiles in the tier. And your 4th move can either be another offensive move if you want, if you're running Moonblast in the 3rd slot and then Fire Blast in the 2nd slot, or you can run Calm Mind to help set up on special attackers, or you can even run some other support move like Knock Off or Encore or Healing Wish, Heal Bell. It gets a lot of options that you can just kind of run on it. Thunder Wave is always a good option because you can slow down opposing Pokemon. But yeah, Clefairy does the same thing that it's done for the past 2 generations, and it just kind of sits there and is really fat, does a lot of the same stuff that Clefable does in OU. So, for the next Pokemon on the list, number 8, we have Throh. Throh is one of the borderline broken Pokemon in the tier. It's just so strong that it can break through a lot of teams. And it's so versatile. As you see, I have 5 different sets here, and all of them are pretty good. There's one that's a little gimmicky, but can still work if you want it to. Anyway, first set, and the one you're probably going to mostly be seeing is an Assault Vest set. If you're playing ladder, a lot of people like to jump on the Assault Vest train. So, basically, any 4 attacking moves will work. You're pretty much always going to see Knock Off, some Fighting Stab, whether it's Storm Throw or Superpower, and then just a filler attacking move. And then Choice Band is another set you can run with Superpower, Knock Off, and then again 2 filler attacking moves just for some coverage. I like Earthquake on Choice Band because it helps you break through Mareanie, and that is a really good Pokemon that you want to break through if you're a fighting type. So Earthquake, especially if you're running Guts on Choice Band, which makes this hit so hard, but if you're running Guts, then you can't be affected by Burn. Burn actually boosts your attack instead of lowering it. So if a Mareanie Scald burns you, you fire off that Earthquake. That's a dead Mareanie. So the next set is a fast Flame Orb set. Because Guts is such a good ability, you might want to activate that Flame Orb or that Burn yourself so that you can get that boost. And this set you're going to run just basically the same moves the other sets have been running. Fighting Stab, either Storm Throw or Superpower, your Knock Off, and then a coverage move. Or 2. A coverage move or 2. Or just a second Fighting Stab. This one you'll probably want to run Superpower more because it has more power and you can get the most out of Superpower. But any other way, this thing can just break through teams with how strong it is. And with the next set, this is kind of a stall breaker set, so it's a bulk up substitute set. So you set up a substitute on a Pokemon that can't break it, because Throw has really high HP. It can set up a lot on weaker attacks. Bulk up boosts its attack and defense, and Mold Breaker, you want to run Mold Breaker on this set all the time, because what it does is Storm Throw can crit through Type Null. Type Null normally has battle armor, which means it can't be crit, but Mold Breaker lets you bypass that. And it also lets you ignore Pyukumuku's Unaware ability, which means you can set up bulk ups on it and it can't do anything to you, and then it doesn't ignore your stat changes, so you just break through it even though it's normally a very physically defensive Pokemon. The last set is kind of just, I didn't make a full set for it, but some people have been running Eject Pack with Superpower. So Eject Pack is a new item that when your stats are lowered, it switches you out. So if you click Superpower, then your attack and defense get lowered, and you can switch out and use that to pivot into another Pokemon to handle whatever switches into Throw. And the next Pokemon on the list is another borderline broken Pokemon, and that is Swoobat. And a lot of people have been saying Swoobat's broken for this set, which is Nasty Plot and Stored Power, which are two new moves that it, not new moves, but they're two moves that it gained in Generation 8. They're new to Swoobat. So Swoobat's ability Simple means that instead of just a simple +2 boost, it gets to normally Nasty Plot would boost its special attack 2 stages. Instead, it boosted 4 times. So now instead of a just double special attack Swoobat, you have this triple special attack. It's a ×3 boost. So that is obviously going to hurt. That is a really boosted attack stat. And then Stored Power also bases its damage off of how many boosts you have. So it's +20 for each boost. You're getting 4 boosts. That's a 100 base power attack coming off a really high special attack stat, because you're just boosted to +4. And then those are the two main moves. And then most people run Heat Wave, which helps handle Pawniard, and Roost in the last slot for some coverage, or for some healing. But that's not really the broken set. The more broken set is actually when you're using it with another new Mon, which is Pincurchin. And Pincurchin has Electric Surge, so when you have electric terrain up, Swoobat can come in with an Electric Seed, get an immediate +2 defense boost, and then you can use Calm Mind to boost your special attack and your special defense, which just makes this a really bulky thing. And also Stored Power gets its power increased by all those boosts that you have, and you can just still run through teams while being a lot bulkier due to your Electric Seed boost. So that is why Swoobat's a really big threat. I think personally it's manageable with the right counterplay to it. I will admit that I use a lot of offense, so I have a lot of fast Scarfers that can normally handle Swoobat, like Scarfstone Journer, and and a lot of Sucker Punch users like Pawniard that can play around Swoobat and kind of handle it, but it is still a big threat. The next Pokemon we have on the list, I kind of combined 2 slots, but these 2 Pokemon I think are both very valuable in the current meta. Arctovish is the first one, which is a new Pokemon from Gen 8, and it has this move called Vicious Rend. Sorry, someone's PMing me. It has this move called Vicious Rend, which what it does is doubles in power if you move before the target. So Arctovish can basically turn this 85 base power move into 170 base power, just as long as it's faster, which is really big for a boost. Obviously, 170 base power, that's almost as strong as the self-destruct, and it's just like this huge hit that you can get off, as long as your opponent isn't immune to it and you're faster than them. So Choice Scarf is normally the item you're going to see on Arctovish because it boosts. It's pretty mediocre 55 speed, boosted up. I think it hits 343 speed, so it doesn't outspeed anything like base 110, which is a pretty good benchmark. You know, you have Pokemon like Raichu and Persian and Ninjask that all outspeed that, but a lot of the tier is actually pretty slow, so this Choice Scarf set does help a little bit with that. So the other moves you have are Icicle Crash, Stone Edge, and either Psychic Fangs or Freeze Dry. And both of those help with certain water resists, like Psychic Fangs helps with Mareanie, Freeze Dry helps with other Pokemon like Palpitoad that would normally be immune to your Fishious Rend, but you can handle them easily with Freeze Dry. The second set that you're going to see, I actually showcased in my video whenever I posted that, and it was like a week ago or something. And that is the Heavy Duty Boots set with Rock Tomb, and if you Rock Tomb on someone switching into you, that means you can slow them down and you can outspeed them with your Fishious Rend next turn. And Heavy Duty Boots, I keep saying Heavy Dutes, but Heavy Duty Boots lets you come in on Stealth Rock without taking any damage, and just helps you kind of stay around a little bit longer in that sense. And the next Pokemon on the list is Lapras. So this is also a water and ice type, but Lapras has been around since actually Generation 1. But it kind of has just been mediocre since then, but this generation with Heavy Duty Boots, it can actually be pretty good because Stealth Rock isn't wearing it down all the time like it has been since Gen 4. And also having Water Absorb means that it can check opposing Arctovish, which is a really good ability to have, and that's actually why Arctovish runs Stone Edge, is so that they can beat Lapras, because otherwise Lapras is immune to Fishious Rend and takes no damage from Icicle Crash. So there are some different sets you can see with Lapras. Best one, probably in my opinion, is a physically defensive set with Freeze Dry, Body Press, Rest, and Sleep Talk, and that means that you can pretty easily handle most Arctovish sets. And it also works actually pretty decently as a physical wall that can just rest, Freeze Dry, Body Press when it needs to. Next Pokemon, or the next set, which is pretty common, is a Choice Spec set. So Lapras has Hydro Pump, Freeze Dry, Thunderbolt, and Ice Shard. Ice Shard is just kind of there for some picking off faster threats like Ninjask or a boosted Swoobat. You can just Ice Shard them and kind of do a little more damage, so your next Pokemon, if, you know, you can just pick them off if they're already weakened. The next set we're going to talk about is just kind of a bulkier tank set. And this set actually runs the new move Life Dew, which heals the user by a quarter of their HP, which doesn't seem like a lot compared to moves like Recover and Soft Boiled, which heal 50%, but any kind of recovery for Lapras is pretty good. So you're going to run Surf, Freeze Dry, Thunderbolt, and Life Dew, and that's pretty much just to hit as much as you can while also staying pretty bulky with Life Dew. The last set is a Perish Trap set, so you can run Whirlpool, Perish Song, Protect, and Rest, and that can just help you come into a Pokemon that's a big threat, Perish Song, trap it with Whirlpool, and just get rid of it like that, so that your team, which might otherwise struggle with it, can just kind of relax with it. So the next Pokemon we have on the list is Mawile. So Mawile is a pretty big defensive wall right now. It has Intimidate, which helps it check a lot of Pokemon like Ninjask and Stonejourner. It's part of the reason why Stonejourner runs Heat Crash. Actually, it's the main reason Stonejourner runs Heat Crash. But it also has a lot of nice utility moves. These two first sets, you can pretty much run any support moves on them. You're mostly going to see Stealth Rock, Toxic, Seismic Toss, Knockoff, or a Stealth Rock knockoff, Play Rough, Taunt. Like, you can run. I think it has Thunder Wave, maybe not. No, it doesn't have Thunder Wave, but like Toxic, Sucker Punch. It has other moves. It has like Pain Split if you want to get some recovery back. If Baton Pass wasn't banned, it also does have Baton Pass, but it has really good coverage, really good support moves in it, and you can either run Leftovers or Rocky Helmet on a defensive set. Now for the offensive set, you're mostly going to run Life Orb Sheer Force, so you can get a lot of extra power out of that. This thing hits really, really hard. And the moves you're going to run normally are Play Rough and Iron Head, and normally Sucker Punch in your third slot. And then your fourth slot can be a number of different moves. Most of the time, probably going to be Sword Stance, but you can also run Fire Blast, which helps you take care of other Mawile. I think you can run Thunder Punch, if that's an option for you if you want to handle Mareanie, if you're really struggling with Mareanie. I'm talking a lot like how Mareanie seems like this big defensive threat, but it's really not that common, but it's still a Pokemon that you kind of have to be wary of. So if you're like really weak to Mareanie, sure, run Thunder Punch. I don't personally recommend it. Sucker Punch has a lot, or Sword Stance can help boost your attack, letting you do a lot more. Otherwise, Fire Blast is probably your best option. The next Pokemon on the list is none other than Ninjask, and Ninjask actually got two new things that kind of buff it this generation. It got access to Acrobatics, which previously its strongest flying stab move was Aerial Ace, which is only 60 base power, but Acrobatics, if you're not holding an item, is 110 base power. So pretty strong move, and you can use Sword Stance to boost it even further. It has really strong U-turns and can even leech life to kind of heal itself up. And it's so fast that you don't have to invest a lot into speed to outspeed most other threats. 24 speed investment, not even with a Jolly Nature, just with an Adamant Nature, means that you outspeed every non-scarfed Pokemon in the game except for other opposing Ninjask. So definitely a huge threat, just because it can just come in, U-turn, not really worry about anything. It also, because Heavy Duty Boots is a new item, it can actually run a Heavy Duty Boots set. Same general idea, except you're going to be running Aerial Ace instead of Acrobatics, obviously. But functions the same way as a Sword Stance Sweeper. You turn Leech Life, Aerial Ace. It just doesn't take any damage from rocks, unlike the Acrobatics set. And actually, Ninjask does have some pretty good utility options. It does have access to Roost, so that it can heal itself if it wants to, and it also has Defog for a really fast Defog, so you can just get rid of hazards, and then most likely die because you're not super bulky, but you can get rid of hazards really fast before the opponent has a chance to attack you. So, the next Pokemon on the list, number 2, I believe, is Trapinch, and this is the Pokemon that I kind of was hinting at the beginning that just got kind of banned today. Actually just a couple hours ago, Arena Trap, the ability, got banned, which means Trapinch no longer can run Arena Trap. It would have to run Hypercutter or Sheer Force, neither of which are really good abilities for it. Arena Trap really made it such a big threat because it could come in on Pokemon like Mawile and Stonejourner, and it could trap them and take care of them and take them out. So the two sets you mainly would have seen run is a Choice Band set with First Impression, Earthquake, Earth Power, Toxic. Earth Power kind of seems weird on a Choice Band set, but actually because Stonejourner's base special defense is so low, Earth Power with a Brave Nature just always takes care of that. you don't have to worry about your Earthquake not killing it, and Earth Power can just easily take care of it. The second set that most people would run is a bulky Eviolite set. So Earthquake, same 4 moves basically, just a little bit bulkier so it can come in and take more hits, so it doesn't have to worry about being killed before it can kill something else. So that's that for Trapinch. And finally, the #1 best Pokemon in the tier. I might make a separate video about this Pokemon, honestly, because it's just so good. Silvally. And yes, I'm kind of grouping all Silvally forms into one, kind of cheating that way, but whatever. But the big thing about Silvally is you can't tell from Team Preview what type of Silvally you're facing, and that immediately like just messes with how you deal with it, because you might have, you know, something that checks Silvally Ground in the back, like you might have like a Leafeon, which actually does a pretty good job of checking Silvally Ground, but it doesn't. Leafeon doesn't do a good job of checking Silvally Flying or Silvally Bug. Even though those are 2 kind of lesser used ones, they're still usable, which is why it's kind of such a big mon. But also there are just a few types of Silvally that make it really, really hard to deal with. The first one is actually just a plain Silvally normal. Most people are running Silk Scarf, which boosts the power of your multi-attack, because now it's 120 base power. In Sun and Moon, it was only 90 base power. So actually, I did calcs for this, and it turns in Gen 7 in Sun and Moon, multi-attack couldn't 2-hit KO Clefairy like a standard Clefairy, even if it was specially defensive. But now, multi-attack, even an unboosted multi-attack, just cleanly 2-hit KOs a Clefairy, which is really scary for defensive Pokemon. Like, now it has to deal with this 120 base power move with no drawbacks that just can tear through teams if they're not prepared for it. So, Silvally normal, if you're going to see it, it runs multi-attack, Flamethrower, Surf, and U-turn. Flamethrower to handle Mawile, Surf to handle Stonjourner, and then U-turn for pivoting. It can either run Silk Scarf or Choice Band. Choice Band just makes multi-attack so unbelievably dangerous. It can just tear through anything that doesn't resist it. And even stuff that does resist it is probably going to be taking a lot. And then you have really good coverage for the rest of the moves. You know, Flamethrower and Surf round out your coverage pretty well. And U-turn just lets you pivot out if you don't want to stay in. It's just a really good Pokemon. The next Pokemon the next Silvally type that's pretty overwhelming is Silvally Ground, because multi-attack from Silvally Ground is Earthquake but stronger, and also it has access to Rock Slide, it's decently fast, has Swords Dance to boost its power, has Flame Charge so it can actually break through Flame Charge you might think is a weak move, but it can actually help it break through grass types, and it can just like multi-attack, Flame Charge, Rock Slide. That's all the coverage you need just to tear through a lot of the PU metagame. And Flame Charge boosting its speed too means that it can't be revenge killed as easily. You can't just switch in your Scarf Leafeon because Flame Charge it's a speed tie if you're a Scarf Leafeon, but it's a 50-50. If you lose it, your Leafeon's dead. So it's a very scary mon to deal with. Silvally Poison isn't as offensively scary, but it's very useful for what it checks and how it does its own thing. So the set that I normally run is multi-attack with Flamethrower and Grass Pledge, and then U-turn also. So multi-attack is just a strong stab. Flamethrower for your Mawiles that really like to switch into Silvally Poison. Grass Pledge helps deal with Stonejourner, and also I use Grass Pledge to deal with Palpitoad, because otherwise you can't, like if you were running Surf, you couldn't touch Palpitoad as a Silvally Poison, which, not like Palpitoad's super common, but it still exists, so it's better than just having to U-turn out. And there was another one I was going to talk about, maybe? I don't remember. I think I was just going to kind of generalize about all of them. Silvally Fighting, pretty good. Silvally Dragon, pretty good. Silvally Dark, pretty good. Silvally Bug has the strongest U-turn in the tier. Like Silvally Fire is pretty much our only physical fire attacker that isn't Heatmor, and Heatmor is too slow to be a really good sweeper. Silvally Flying, really strong. Silvally Grass, it's kind of similar to Leafeon, but it also has the ability to U-turn and defog and has better coverage than Leafeon. Silvally Ice is kind of mediocre, just because Ice isn't that great of a defensive typing, and we also have Pokemon like Lapras and Arctovish that double resist its multi-attack, so it's not going to be doing as much, but it still can be a big threat because it has coverage for those Pokemon. And even these last few types, Silvally Psychic, we don't really have a physical Psychic type in the tier, so Swords Dance, multi-attack, U-turn, Crunch, pretty threatening for anything that resists Psychic. So Silvally Rock, we do have some physical rock types. Obviously I talked about Stonejourner, but Stonejourner isn't as fast as Silvally Rock and can't break through, or I guess it can break through Mawile. Really, Silvally Rock probably isn't worth using, but it's still there, and like Swords Dance, that's the thing is, Stonejourner can't boost with Swords Dance. Silvally Rock can, and it's naturally faster than Stonejourner, and it has a 120 base power move that doesn't miss, unlike Stonejourner's Stone Edge, so it can just break through a lot that way too. Silvally Water, honestly, kind of mediocre. Silvally Water was one of the best types in Sun and Moon, or one of the better types in PU at least. But this gen, it's just kind of underperforming, and I think that is because a lot of people are running Water Absorb Pokemon or general water checks, with Arctovish running around being very common, and Silvally Water doesn't really have as good of a way to deal with those water checks as it used. I mean, it still has the same moves, but it doesn't have as good of a way to deal with them as other types do, dealing with their resists. But that being said, you find the right set, you know, maybe you run Rock Slide on this instead of Flamethrower, so you can handle Arctovish and you can handle Lapras too. Maybe you run like a Swords Dance, multi-attack, U-turn, Rock Slide set. Like, that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds actually pretty decent for this Pokemon. But anyway, that's why I think it's one of the best Pokemon in the tier, if not the best Pokemon in the tier. It's very versatile. It can just, especially the types that I mentioned first, Normal and Ground, super threatening Pokemon. Definitely things that you have to watch out for. You have to build with those Pokemon in mind, otherwise you're just going to lose to them. And anyway, that kind of concludes the list of the top 10 Pokemon in Sword and Shield PU so far. I hope you guys liked this video. It was something different. Normally I'm just playing through the games or whatever. But this one, I just kind of wanted to talk about Sword and Shield PU since the first month is over, and these are what I think are the top 10 Pokemon. Obviously this list is going to change, especially with Trapinch now banned. It's These aren't the definitive top 10 Pokemon. These are just what I think are the top best Pokemon. If you disagree, that's okay. You can leave a comment telling me what you think should be on this list, what you think shouldn't be on this list. It's just all opinions. I do generally think at least the top 4 or 5 are probably the best Pokemon in the tier. Mawile, Ninjask, Trapinch up until today, and Silvally, probably the best 4 Pokemon in the tier. But yeah, all the rest of the Pokemon, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of analysis into what they do during this meta. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close this video. Make sure you guys are staying safe, stay healthy. I'm not going to give you any life advice or anything, but just be good to each other. We're going through some crazy times. Just be nice. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Corona vacation, or if you're still working, if you're stuck working through this crazy time, thank you for your service. Not that this video is going to reach a lot of people, but I hope that whoever you are listening to this, hope that you've enjoyed, and I hope you'll continue to enjoy in the future in my next video. Goodbye.